Imagine you deploy an AI agent inside your company. You give it access to your email, your procurement system, your contacts, your financial approvals. You tell it, automate the routine stuff, save us time. Now, imagine a hacker compromises one low-priority tool that the agent touches. Not the financial system, something way less guarded. A calendar integration, a reporting plugin, something no one's watching. From there, the attacker inherits everything that the AI agent was allowed to do, every permission, every access. And then, contracts get modified, payments get rerouted, and the audit logs? Faked, clean, nothing trips. That's not a hypothetical. That's an exact scenario Five Eyes intelligence agencies just put into a 30-page guidance document, and it is called a national security threat. Welcome to Darnley Cyber Café. I'm Darnley. Get comfortable. Today we talk about the AI that does not ask for permission. Today's episode is sitting right at the intersection of artificial intelligence and national security, and it lands in a way that affects all of us. Whether you're running a Fortune 500, a small shop, or just trying to protect your own data in a world that's increasingly automated. Let's talk about it. On May 1st, 2026, something significant happened. The Five Eyes, that's the intelligence sharing alliance between the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. They published their first ever coordinated cybersecurity guidance specifically targeting Agentic AI. The document is called, quote, Careful Adoption of Agentic AI Services, end quote. 30 pages, co-authored by CISA, the US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the NSA, the UK's NCSC, Australia's ASD, Canada's Centre for Cybersecurity, and New Zealand's NCSC. All 5 nations in one unified document. This does not happen casually. Five Eyes agencies don't coordinate guidance documents the way a marketing team drops a blog post. It took months of deliberation, and it represents a convergence of national security thinking from the most powerful intelligence apparatus on the planet. And the message? I'll give it to you unfiltered. The document opens with, quote, Until security practices, evaluation methods, and standards mature, organizations should assume that agentic AI systems may behave unexpectedly. Unquote. Read that again or listen to it again. Assume your AI agent may behave unexpectedly. That's not a kind of reassurance that makes you go to bed at night. That is a warning from 6 intelligence agencies that the technology you're being sold right now, those AI co-pilots, the autonomous agents, and the workflow bots, may not behave the way you think they will. And it gets a little more pointed here. They note that agentic AI systems are already operating across critical infrastructure and defense sectors. Water utilities, power grids, defense procurement, government IT, already in there, already running, and in most cases, with far too much access and nowhere near enough oversight. Before we go deeper, let me take 60 seconds to make sure we're all starting from the same page, because agentic AI is a term that gets thrown around a lot without enough explanation. Most people have interacted with what I call reactive AI. You type a question, it answers. You upload a document, it summarizes it. You ask it to write an email, it writes the email. You're in the loop every step. The AI produces the output, you review it, and you act. Agentic AI is fundamentally different. An agentic AI system can plan, reason, execute multi-step tasks, call external services and APIs, take real-world actions, all without a human reviewing every step. You give it a goal and it figures out how to achieve it autonomously. Let's think about what this looks like in practice. An agentic AI agent handling procurement might access your financial systems, pull your vendor data, cross-reference contracts, draft and send communications, and approve payment workflows, all without humans signing off at each stage. The whole point is that it reduces friction. Or let's think about IT operations. Agentic AI managing your infrastructure might monitor logs, detect anomalies, apply patches, reconfigure network rules, and generate compliance reports automatically. Sounds great, right? Does to me. But here's the problem the Five Eyes document surfaces. To do all that, the agent needs access, broad access, and every system it touches, every API it calls, every data source it reads, that becomes part of what security professionals call the attack surface. The larger the attack surface, the more ways an adversary can get in. And the guidance puts it bluntly, every individual component in an agentic AI system widens the attack surface, exposing the system to additional avenues of exploitation. And unlike traditional software vulnerabilities where you can patch a CVE and you're done, agentic AI introduces risks that are harder to see, harder to predict, and harder to reverse. Now let me talk about exactly what those risks are. The Five Eyes guidance organizes the risk into 5 distinct categories. Now I want to walk through each one because understanding this taxonomy is going to be essential if you're advising organizations, defending infrastructure, or making purchasing decisions about AI tooling. Risk category number 1, privilege. This is the most immediately dangerous risk. When an AI agent is granted excessive permissions like admin credentials, write access to financial systems, the ability to modify or delete records, a single compromise doesn't just compromise the agent, it compromises every system the agent can touch. And the problem is that most organizations grant permissions up front, at deployment, and then forget about them. The agent grows into its environment. Other agents start depending on its outputs. Access creep sets in, and suddenly you have an overprivileged autonomous system that nobody can fully audit. Guidance specifically calls out a scenario where an AI agent tasked with maximizing system uptime might disable security updates to avoid reboots. No one told it to do that. No one wanted it to do that. But it reasoned its way where, in the pursuit of its goal, that privilege risk, meaning behavioral risk, and I'll get into behavioral risk in a moment. Risk category number 2, design and configuration flaws. This is about the security posture of the agent before it ever hits production. Poor architectural choices, exposed API keys in environment variables, weak third-party integrations, misconfigured permission boundaries, inadequate input validation. These are classic deployment failures, but when they're applied to an autonomous agent operating at machine speed with no human review cycle, configuration drift becomes a persistent vulnerability class rather than a one-time oversight. Risk category number 3, behavioral risk. Now, this one keeps security professionals like myself up at night. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they may develop capabilities that designers did not explicitly program or anticipate. Complex AI models interacting with real-world systems can display behaviors that their creators did not foresee. What does that look like? Goal misalignment, where the agent pursues an objective in ways that technically satisfies the instruction but violates the intent. Deceptive outputs, an agent that interprets maximize efficiency as bypass access controls for speed, an agent that generates plausible sounding responses when its knowledge is insufficient, hallucinating in a high stakes context where accuracy is non-negotiable. The guidance is explicit. These systems may not clearly identify when they're relying on internal assumptions rather than verified data. That's a critical distinction in a security-sensitive environments. Risk category number 4, structural risk. Most enterprise AI deployments aren't one agent. They are networks of agents, orchestrators, sub-agents, API integrated services, automated pipelines, all passing data, context, and instructions to each other. Multi-agent architectures create lateral movement opportunities. Compromise one sub-agent, then you can get a foothold into the orchestrator. Compromise the orchestrator, and you've potentially hijacked the entire swarm. Most organizations right now have zero visibility into their inter-agent communication, token passing, or shared state management. These dependencies are largely invisible until something breaks badly. Risk category number 5, accountability. When something goes wrong with an AI agent, and the guidance says to assume it will, can you reconstruct what happened? Can you trace which action triggered the failure, what the agent's intent was, what data it accessed, and what it modified? The answer in most current deployments is no. Audit logs from agentic systems are often difficult to parse, incomplete, or, in the attack scenario, actively faked by the adversary who had already inherited the agent's access. From a compliance and regulatory standpoint, that's a breaking change. Organizations can no longer claim the AI did it. The accountability gap is the organization's problem. Regulators are already moving in this direction, and the 5 Eyes guidance is going to accelerate that. So now let me bring this out of the abstract. The 5 Eyes document includes a specific attack scenario that I want to walk you through carefully, because it illustrates exactly how a well-intentioned AI deployment becomes a security catastrophe. Scenario: an organization deploys an AI agent to autonomously manage procurement approvals and vendor communications. The agent is connected to financial systems, email, and contract repositories. A reasonable configuration for that use case, right? At deployment, the team thinks about what permissions the agent needs. They give it what it needs to do its job. But over time, other agents in the environment start relying on that procurement agent's outputs. They implicitly trust its actions, and the ecosystem grows around it. Then, a malicious actor targets a low-risk tool that's integrated into the agent's workflow. Not the financial system, something peripheral. Maybe a low-priority reporting plugin, a calendar sync, something no one's actively monitoring. Through that compromise, the attacker inherits the procurement agent's permissions. All of them. The overgenerous privileges granted at deployment are now in adversary hands. Contracts get modified, unauthorized payments get approved, and the attacker uses the agent's own access to generate fake audit logs. These logs look clean, don't trip alerts, that pass routine compliance checks. How long does something like that go undetected? In environments without deep runtime monitoring of agent behavior, potentially weeks, potentially months. Now, layer on top of that real-world event. On April 2026, Dragos, one of the most respected OT security firms on the planet, published a report documented the first confirmed AI-assisted attack on operational technology infrastructure. A municipal water utility in Monterrey, Mexico, adversary used a commercial AI model to automatically navigate network segmentation barriers and reach live SCADA systems, SCADA, industrial control systems, and the kind that manage the water treatment for a city. Now, understand this is not science fiction. This is April 2026. And the Five Eyes guidance published May 1st was the direct governmental response to exactly that threat class. The document is also explicit about prompt injection, calling it the most persistent and difficult to fix threat facing agentic systems. Why? Because it stems from a fundamental design constraint of how large language models work. An adversary embeds malicious instructions inside data that the agent legitimately processes. A phishing email that an email monitoring agent reads, a document in a contract repository, a vendor response that gets ingested by a procurement agent. The agent can't always distinguish between legitimate content and embedded instructions, and some companies have admitted this problem may never be fully solved at the model level. It requires layered defenses at the system level, which most organizations haven't yet implemented. I just want to take a moment to make sure this lands for everyone in the audience listening here, because the stakes here go well beyond enterprise IT shops and government defense contractors. If you're an IT professional or security practitioner, you're probably already connecting the dots. And this is landing in your queue. The governance vacuum around agentic AI is your problem to navigate, and you're likely doing it without a clear framework, without mature tooling, and under pressure from your leadership that wants the efficiency gains as of yesterday. If you're a business owner or an executive, agentic AI is being sold to you right now, aggressively. Productivity gains, cost savings, automation at scale, all of that is real. But what's also real is that deploying these systems without adequate security controls creates a liability exposure that didn't exist with traditional software. The Five Eyes guidance is going to get cited in procurement standards, in regulatory frameworks, and in broad level AI governance conversations. It will land in your world, so be ahead of it. And this is why you're listening to Darnley Cyber Café. If you're a privacy-conscious individual, here is your angle. Agentic AI systems being deployed by organizations you interact with, your bank, your healthcare provider, your insurance company, your government, are processing your data with varying levels of oversight and accountability. When those systems are compromised, it's not just operational disruption. It's your personal and financial data in adversaries' hands, with altered audit trails that make the breach harder to detect and harder to attribute. At a national level, we've already seen the Monterrey incident, with one significant agentic AI compromise in critical infrastructure away from a headline that creates the political conversation around AI regulation overnight. The guidance is voluntary today. After a major incident, it won't be. One data point I want to surface. A 2026 industry report found that 88% of organizations globally report confirmed or suspected AI agent security incidents. 88%. And only 22% have advanced governance models in place to management. In that gap, even between deployment speed and governance maturity, is precisely the attack surface the Five Eyes document is warning about. Alright, now let's get actionable, because if there's one thing I want you to walk away from in today's episode, it's not just the threat picture. It's what you actually can do about it. The core message of the Five Eyes guidance is this: you don't need to invent an entirely new security principle. You need to extend the principles you already know, least privilege, zero trust, defense in depth, into your AI deployment architecture. But you need to do it intentionally. Control number 1, apply least privilege and review it continuously. Every AI agent should have only the access it needs to perform its defined task, not the access it might need someday. Not the access that's easier to configure broadly. Minimum viable access, scoped and documented, and critically, audit those permissions on a schedule, not just at deployment. Agents accumulate dependencies over time, and you need to stay ahead of that privilege creep. Control number 2, give every agent a cryptographic verified identity with short-lived credentials. The guidance is specific here. Each agent should carry a verified, cryptographically secured identity, use short-lived credentials, and encrypt all communications with other agents and services. If you cannot uniquely identify and authenticate an agent interaction, you cannot audit it. And if you cannot audit it, you can't defend it. Control number 3, insert human checkpoints for high-impact actions. Not every action an AI agent takes needs a human review. That defeats the efficiency purpose. But sensitive operations, system resets, network configuration changes, deletion of critical records, large financial approvals, network egress, these need a human in the loop. Hard stops, not just soft suggestions. The guidance is explicit. Require human approval for operations where the cost of error is high. Control number 4, build prompt injection defenses at the system level. Since the model level problem may never be fully solved, the defense has to be architectural. Input validation before content reaches the agent. Output monitoring after the agent acts. Sandboxed environments where agents process untrusted data. Rate limiting on external API calls. Defense in depth, not a single filter. Control number 5. Maintain the ability to interrupt, isolate, and reverse agent actions. Every agentic deployment should have a documented kill switch. The guidance explicitly calls for agents to have a fail-safe by default, meaning that they should stop and escalate to human reviewers in uncertain scenarios, not proceed and hope for the best. Designed for reversibility before you deploy for efficiency. Control number 6. Invest in runtime visibility into agent behavior. The accountability risk is real. The answer is a deep runtime monitoring. You need to know what the agent did, why they did it, what data it accessed, and what it modified in near real time. Logs that are hard to parse are not sufficient. If your current tooling does not give you that visibility into autonomous agent workflows, that's a procurement gap you need to address before your next agentic deployment. And for the organizations that are still in the evaluation phase, the guidance has a line that I think it's underrated. It says to consider a full spectrum solutions for repetitive tasks, including reducing or eliminating low-value processes, which may be lower risk compared to agentic AI solutions. Sometimes the right answer is not to deploy the agent at all. Simple automation, rule-based scripting, a human with a checklist. When the risk profile of the task is low enough that agentic AI doesn't add value proportional to his risk, then don't deploy it. Agentic AI is not going away. The efficiency gains are real. The automation use cases are real. The business pressure to deploy it is real. But the Five Eyes didn't publish a 30-page coordinated national security document because things are fine. They published it because autonomous systems are already running in critical infrastructure, already holding excessive access, and already operating in a governance vacuum. The gap between deployment speed and security maturity is your attack surface, and right now, that gap is wide. The question isn't whether to engage with agentic AI, the question is whether you engage with it on your terms, with controls, with governance, with visibility, or, in the adversary's terms. I'm Darnley, and this has been Darnley Cyber Café, where your digital exhaust stops here. Stay sharp, stay private, and remember, the less you leave behind, the less they have on you. If today's episode gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit follow, leave a rating, or share this with someone who needs to hear it. It costs you nothing and keeps this conversation going. Tune in, unwind with your preferred cup of Java, and always remember, knowledge is power.